Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Girls Like Hoops podcast. I'm Tori. Welcome to this week's episode. First of all, like and subscribe. Follow me on whatever you're listening to this on to stay up to date on new episodes. Secondly, full transparency, guys, I didn't watch a lot of these games. I didn't. I'm going to sit here and give the same energy like I did watch them because I have my notes and stuff, but I wanted to be honest with you guys because I was going to come on here and lie. I was going to sit here and just bullshit. And the one thing about me is that I'm a really great bullshitter. I am. One thing that college taught me, I can just go off the dome and just sound like I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I don't. You know what I'm saying? But I have my notes here, and we're going to be fine. And you probably won't even know which ones I watched and which ones I didn't. Like, it's up in the air, and I'm not going to tell you which ones. I'm going to tell you which ones. Anyways, but first things first, I did want to talk about this, which I feel like is so tragic every week. My God. The Olympic team list came out, and here's the thing. We're not going to have the whole conversation. I'm going to say this. I'm so grateful that, new eyes have been brought to the WNBA. I do hate that the sports media is talking about everything but these players playing. I do hate that. I think that really sucks. And you're always going to get that from me. We're going to talk about the basketball here. So if that's something that's like, that's what I want to hear, this is the place for you. And I'm going to clip this on TikTok. This is the place for you. If you want to hear just about the basketball, we're talking about the stats. We're talking about efficiency. We're talking about those things. So if you want to hear that, this is the podcast. This is the show for you. It's on YouTube, Spotify, all the places. Anywhere you hear podcasts, really. You can just Google it and it's probably somewhere. But that's what we're going to talk about here because I'm just so sick and tired of the conversation being about everything else. Caitlin is going to get a chance to play on another Olympic team. I personally think the girl needs to rest. She's been playing basketball nonstop for who knows how long, since the beginning of the college season. And they didn't get they didn't even get a break really in between draft night and starting the season. And even with the condensed schedule because the Olympics this year, I just need people to calm the hell down, okay? Take a deep breath. It's going to be fine. She's going to be on every Olympic team after this. So chill out. There's no doubt in my mind that she's going to be even better than she is right now. She has other things to develop and work on right now. And I'm not going to lie, we don't really have time for that right now when they try to win the gold. We don't have time for that. So it's going to be fine. Y'all have got to chill out and relax. Y'all take a deep breath. Right? Inhale, exhale. Y'all be acting like it's your daughter out there on the court. And girl, it's not. Y'all be living vicariously through the people. Calm down. Relax. Jesus. Anyways, first thing I'm going to say, this week's officiating has been... Kathy, get on your Zoom. You need to hold a officials meeting or something, because a lot of these calls lately it's getting ridiculous. I'm seeing these stars are getting out of character. They are screaming at these officials. And one thing I will say, WNBA official ain't really going to tee you up too quick. You know what I'm saying? They will eventually, but they're not going to tee you up off first rib. But we should not be seeing these players irate. I'm seeing veins popping out the neck. Kathy, tighten up. It's time. Get a rein on it. Rein it in, Kathy. Earn that check. Anyways, I still want a job for the WNBA though, Kathy. So it was no shade. I'm just giving you a little pointer, girl. It's nothing nasty like that. Anyways, let's get into it. We got to keep it cute and keep it quick. Friday, we had 4 games. Fever versus Mystics, Storm versus Aces, Wings versus Sparks, Lynx versus Mercury. Starting with the Fever versus Mystics, I was outside. I was at the club and somebody stopped me and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you're so pretty." And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you." Anyways, I wanted to share. I'm sorry. I really did. It made me I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." Anyways, but I was outside with my friends and so I didn't watch these games. I watched the first half of the Storm versus Aces game and then we left, so I didn't see the rest. But if you want to stay up to date on live updates of games, not really live updates, but as the games are going, I post TikToks and stuff. So if you want to stay up to date on those kind of things instead of waiting for this episode, feel free to do that. The links are in my description. You can follow me over there. It's a great time. I'm a funny girl, so you know what I'm saying? It's a great time. Anyways, not toot my own horn, but toot. Anyways, Fever versus Mystics. I rewatched this game earlier today. I think what's really cool about this matchup is that both of these teams are relatively younger, right? So there's like a little more, like, it's not like young, slightly inexperienced team against like an older, like, oh, experienced, like there's vets in the streets, like it's less of that. But at the same time, I think the Mystics, which I'm gonna call them the Brunch Bunch. The Brunch Bunch, they don't lose games and get blown out for the most part. It's just that like sometimes like the people that they rely on to get their points are out of rhythm. Their shot isn't falling. I think that a lot of the Mystics issues again like just come from them not having their point guard out there and her being hurt, which is unfortunate because she came back, they won the game later this week, and then she was hurt again. Like, and it's just like it really sucks. I think it's really unfortunate. I do think though to a certain extent it is like, and even with like the Mercury last week, I talked about them and I posted a clip on TikTok and people were kind of giving me pushback on some of the stuff that I said about the Mercury. BG's back and that's really great. And we're going to talk about that later. I said last week, I think she'll be a stabilizing piece once she comes back. She's back now and the games are much closer. It's not so heavily, they're not relying on the three like as heavily. And I think that's really great. At the same time, you have to be able to win without your people. And that even goes for the Aces. I love the Aces so much, but them struggling without Chelsea Gray and even like earlier this week, struggling with Jackie Young being sick and then her being out, you have to be able to figure out how to win without your people, right? And so it's more just like about that. And I get it, it takes time to do that, but at the end of the day, that's what this is. You got to be able to call on people from the bench, or you have to be able, like, role players have to be able to step up and give you more points or something like that. And there's a couple of examples of that this week that we're going to talk about, like the Atlanta Dream and some other stuff that we'll get into later, like I said. But it just really is that. And I understand that it's because Brittney Sykes isn't there to help facilitate and keep things going. But it's just like somebody else is going to have to step up and do that. And they're not losing by a lot. They don't suck. I don't think any team in the league sucks as badly as people want you to believe that. The Indiana Fever don't suck. The Mystics don't suck. The Mystics a lot of times are in the games until it's time to close them. And then like, like it'll just be like inexperienced decision making, or when it's time for like those game management style of play and like in crunch time, they're not able to do that, which is unfortunate. But again, this is about them learning. Like these are young and lesser experienced players. So that makes sense for them to go and have to go through those things to win or to lose. Everything's going to be fine. There's like a lot of people are putting a lot of pressure on these young people and stuff. And I know I bagged on the Mystics a little bit last week, but I think there's nothing wrong with the team. Like they just have to get their shot falling and they just have some things to tweak and eventually they're going to get it. And I really believe that. It's just right now, it's not going to be just they play right now and they're the perfect fit and they're beating everybody. That's just not how it goes. It takes patience. It takes time for them to get it together. So that's where we're at right now. With the Fever and the Mystics, they missed a lot of shots. They did. The Fever put up 28. No, they put up 62 and they made 28 of them. The Mystics shot 72. They made 31 of them. And this was a really cool matchup because it was like Aaliyah versus Aliyah and just an interesting showing. I think first of all, the Fever were well rested. They got like almost the entire week to rest. So they already kind of had the advantage going into the game. And then the Mystics were coming from a back-to-back. And they just caught them slipping, honestly. The Fever, I will say, I think the commentators ended up making a statement that they talked to Coach Sides before the game. And they said that she wants to play 5 out. And when I heard that, I was extremely confused because in my mind, I think that a lot of times the stuff that Coach Christie envisions in her mind is just so different from what we as viewers are seeing. I think it's really great to have, like, goals and expectations and things that you want to see from your team. At the same time, there is the reality aspect that at this time right now, this team is not a team that needs to be playing 5-out. They're just not. Like, 5-out for what? Like, the shot isn't falling anyways, so I don't really know what we need to be playing 5-out for. We have turnover issues. I don't think that 5-out is really... I don't really know. Sometimes I think that the vision she has in her mind is just, again, moving quicker than the development of the players that she has. And I'm interested to see how this goes. Again, I'm not a coach, so all I can do is say what I see, and that be it. So not too much on Coach Christie. Again, I don't think the lady should be losing her job. However, the way that people are talking and stuff, I would not at all be surprised if they let her go at the end of the season, which I think would be unfortunate. But at the same time, it's just unfortunate because, to me, I think if you're trying to build an identity, you need to pick a coach. You need to stick with them for a while. If you end up changing coaches later on, that's fine. But just constantly changing coaches and going through it it's not helping the whole there's no identity thing. Like, it's constantly going to be players trying to learn a new coach, a new system, whatever their coach wants to do. And it's just, you're asking a lot of a young team to just constantly be going through changes. And it's food for thought. Anyways, in this game, I thought Caitlyn was really cooking off the screens. The commentator talking about her curling and oh, she curled off the screen and she just hit the point. Anyways, I don't care about all that. That's a little too advanced for me. She gave you 30 points. 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals. 4 steals was honestly a little bit surprising to me because Caitlyn's not very good on defense. I'll be honest. My thoughts there. But she shot 7 of 13 from 3. And I think she even said that she wants to she wants to shoot more threes. And so it's really nice to see her being able to put up more of a volume and also making those and being efficient. So I think that's really great and that's really good. Nalissa Smith gave you a double-double that game. She gave you 10 and 10. They got the win. A lot of the starters played 30-plus minutes. And to me, I think that's still a lot. But again, I'm not the coach, but who knows at this point? Like, it is what it is. Maybe things will change as the season goes on, but I think I see. It's just, I think it's too much to be putting like 30-plus minutes on your starters like that. But again, I'm not the coach, so let me shut the hell up. Anyways, the bench saw no minutes. Okay. Mystics, like I said, the Fever caught them on a back-to-back. One thing I'll say about the Mystics is I think they play hard every night. Ariel Atkins, she has a bag. Okay. Ariel Atkins, she has a bag. She just has to get she has to get the bag in rhythm, right? So, like, she'll be sitting there hitting some good shots. She'll be sitting there going in the paint. Like, it's like the shot just doesn't go in. I'd be like, damn, because it'd be looking good. I'm like, oh, low key, Ariel Atkins is a walking highlight reel. It's just a matter of the shot falling, and eventually she's gonna get it. And I believe in her. I believe in Ariel Atkins. I believe in this team. They're gonna be fine. But she gave you 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Steph Dolson was cooking that night. 19 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. She was 7 of 10 field goal percentage and 5 of 6 from 3. I don't think you can ask for anything better, especially because some of her threes hadn't really been falling earlier on, and so it was really nice to see her have 5 of 6, and she cooked, I fear. Aliyah Edwards, she gave you a double-double. She gave you 10 and 12, and I think that's fun. And I had no clue that Carly Samuelson and Katie Lou Samuelson were sisters, so that was a fun fact. Anyways, but it was cool that they had like a sister matchup, and they had the Aliyahs matching up, so that was fun. Anyways, next game that day was Storm versus Aces. I rewatched that game yesterday, and Becky was pressed as hell on the sidelines. I'm not typically somebody who watches the press conferences because sometimes I don't really want to hear all that. But Becky and Asia and Kelsey Plum had done one the other day. I think it was after their game against the Sparks, maybe. I don't really remember exactly. But they did a press conference, and they talked about how it's just like a lot of the problems that they're experiencing right now are just defense and not communicating and, just struggling with like trust, I guess. And they have a lot of things to work on. I'm not gonna lie, like all of these teams are gonna give you their best regardless. I don't even think that like the Aces are like, oh, like they're terrible, because I've actually seen a lot of people on social media recently, like they've been saying like, oh, people keep talking about how the Aces are so great, but they look bad. And I'm going to push back on that because one, this is my team. And two, because again, like I said before, you have to be able to win without certain players, without having all your players, like at the end of the day. But I think that it is a bummer right now that they don't have Chelsea Gray, and any game that they lose, I always just in my mind know that they probably would have won the game if they had Chelsea. But again, got to be able to figure it out and win on your own without, the players that are injured. So yeah, but Becky and them, they were talking about that, about the defense and how they need to work on that and how their offense is fueled by their defense. And so if their defense is off, then they're struggling on offense. And I hope they get together soon. I really don't like seeing them struggle like this, but again, it's kind of expected. Like they're back-to-back champions and teams aren't taking a day off when they go to play them. But Becky was definitely pressed as hell on the sideline. She was livid. She was screaming, yelling. She was giving dirty looks. I was like, ooh, girl, she needs to breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, Becky. Breathe in, breathe out. But when I watched the game, what I noticed was the Storm just controlled the paint. They had 30 points in the paint. Ezzy Magbagor was 50% on field goal percentage. She gave you 14 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. I ask you again, like I said last week, is there anything that she can't do? The answer is no. Ezzy Magbagor is just like that. Jewel Lloyd gave you 25 points and 9 rebounds. Skylar Diggins gave you 21 points, 7 assists. NECA gave you 12 points and 11 rebounds. And I just really, this core 4, I really like them. I really love the Seattle team, and I think they're going to do some really great things this season. I do think that there are still some games when Skylar Diggins, like, doesn't shoot as well or, like, as efficiently as we know that she can. But, like, I think it's going to come in time. And like I said before, I think it's going to be a dangerous team, and I'm excited to see them later on as the season goes. For the Aces, Asia Wilson gave you 29 points, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks. KP gave you 18 points. This was just a tough game for them. Jackie was feeling sick. She didn't do warm-up that day with the team, but she still ended up playing, and she kind of did look like she was under the weather a bit. But Kia Stokes, the thing that Becky is asking of her is that she scores more, and on a day like this day for this game, I think you really needed that. Like, you had KP and Asia giving you double digits, but you just needed something else. And without Chelsea Gray in there and without Jackie playing well or like to her like standard, they fell short. And I just really hope that Kia Stokes like starts shooting a little bit more. Like, I think she's very capable of doing that, and obviously Becky believes that if that's what she's asking her to do. And I think that this team would look very different if Kia was a little more offensive minded. Like, she's gonna go and give you rebounds, she's gonna go and get those rebounds for you, but she's got to be a little more aggressive offensively. But like I said before, I'm not worried about the Aces because we haven't seen them with their difference maker, who is Chelsea Gray, but it does suck to see them going out like this. And like I said, I don't typically watch the press conferences, but that lack of communication on defense and stuff, and it is playing a role in this. And I hope they figure it out soon, because people have definitely been talking out of their neck about this team, like I had said before. But next game we had was the Wings versus Sparks. Maddie and Enrique were going bar for bar this game. The Sparks points in the paint were 52. Oh, wow. Really? That is crazy. Maddie and Enrique were going bar for bar this game. They played really well. I like that everyone on the Sparks played. That was one of my favorite things about this game. Unfortunately, the Wings lost, but what can you do? The Sparks points in the paint were 52, and I think that's really great versus the Wings with 34. But I think Kurt Miller really ate. He really ate that, letting everybody on the team play. And I just really like when coaches utilize the bench. And I think this is really great for the players' development and over time, like just the team in general. All of them being able to play and having experience on the floor, playing together is very helpful. And I think is what's very important for a young team playing, which Coach Christie, if you would like to take a note from Kurt Miller's page, feel free. For the Wings, Maddie Seegers gave you 21 points, 6 rebounds. She shot 81% that day. I don't know what more you want me to say. Like, I'm a Maddie Seegers fan, and she played really great this game. Arike gave you 22 points, 4 assists, 4 steals. She played really well. I think this just comes down to you need everybody kind of buying in and giving you a few more points. Again, they are down like 3 players on this team, but they always go out there and they play the hardest. Like they're trying, and I like what I'm seeing. Anyways, the Sparks, Dearica Hamby, she gave you 22 points, 12 rebounds, and she also got a contract extension earlier this week, or maybe it was like the other day. I don't know what day it was, but she got a contract extension. So shout out to Dearica Hamby. Congrats to you. You've been playing amazing this season. So keep doing what you do. Lexi Brown gave you 16 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. I love that for her, especially because she was getting a little banged up last week. And I'm glad that, she's in rhythm. 16 points, really great. Cameron Brink gave you 10 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals. She's learning. I love that for her, honestly. She has to get the foul thing under control, which I think she's doing a lot better as the weeks go on. And I just think that she's doing a really great job. Honorable mention to Lee Yaru. She shot 75% that game, and I really wanted to mention that because, the commentators were talking out their neck about her like 2-3 weeks ago, and I didn't appreciate that. And she's really coming along. Again, really happy to see the Sparks team. Like, they're just very unselfish. They're playing well together, and I like that. I like the energy from this young team the best. So, like, when I'm thinking about, like, the Sky, the Mystics, the Fever, I think the Sparks and the Sky definitely have a little bit more of an edge when it comes to how they're looking right now so far, in terms of like learning together and growing and developing. So really like those Sparks. Last game that we had that day was Lynx versus Mercury, and the Mercury won that one. Again, I think all of this and like most of the games the Mercury have won have really just been, you can tell, without Brittney Griner out on the floor, they probably would have lost the game. This is her first game back, and I said this last week, even though I gave the coach a hard time that Brittney Griner would bring some stability to the team, and she's done just that, and you've seen that over the past few games. I still think it's important, like I said, the entirety of this episode, to be able to win when you're not fully healthy, because you never know, like something could happen, and like if you still want to go out there and play for a playoff, you're gonna have to figure out something else outside of shooting threes and relying on threes. So hopefully somebody does that. I don't know, but I don't think that he will move away from the whole shooting threes thing, because I haven't seen him move away from it as of yet. So that's still a problem. But yeah, amazing game winner for Kalia Copper. Really great setup and screen by Brittney Griner. And I think what's really important and what I took from that moment in that shot was that a less experienced center, I don't think, would be able to pull off that screen. Like, was basically screening 2 players at the same time so she could get an open look. And I thought that was really great, really awesome. And again, without Brittney Griner, I don't think they win that game. I think the Lynx take that one just because you wouldn't have an experienced center setting a good, solid screen for you. But that's neither here nor there. It was a tough loss for the Lynx, and the Lynx shot the 3 really well as a team. The Mercury shot 9 of 26 from 3. The Lynx shot 15 of 34. Again, I think we should move away from shooting so many threes. That's just me, though. That's just me. I'm glad that Rebecca Allen is back as well. She played really well, actually, throughout the week. And this game, she did some good things. So happy that Rebecca Allen and Brittney Griner are back. And the team is looking pretty good. For the Mercury, Aaliyah Copper gave you 34 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. So was basically out there cooking. I don't know what mother is to say. They be calling her KFC, you know, like the chicken, like cooking chicken. I think it's kind of corny, but hey, who am I? Diana Taurasi gave you 12 points, 6 rebounds. Not super efficient. She was like 4 of 19 field goal percentage. I just, again, Diana Taurasi is amazing, great. I think maybe we step back a little bit on that one. Maybe step back on the shot selection a little bit. Like nights where she hits them, it's great, it's amazing. But nights when it's like 4 of 19, and if they don't win that game, it's like maybe you shouldn't have shot that many. I don't know because she is a GOAT. She is a GOAT, so it's like there's only so much that I can say, but definitely if Aaliyah Copper doesn't have the game that she has, and if Brittney Griner isn't the stabilizing piece that she is, I think, yes, you definitely have to have a talk with Diana about shooting 4 of 19. Anyways, Natasha Cloud, 8 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists. And like I've said before, I'm just extremely weary about the 3-pointers. The Lynx, Kayla McBride hit 8 threes that game. And really, Kayla McBride got hot last week, I think, and hasn't cooled off since then. She gave you 25 points. Afita Collier gave you 20 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. Honorable mention to, oh my gosh, I don't want to say her name wrong. Alana. There we go. Honorable mention to Alana Smith. She did some really great things. I think she didn't have that many points this game, but, you know, she did the other things right that don't really necessarily, like, pop out as like, oh, she had a really great game, but she did some good things. Anyways, Saturday, we had 2 games, Liberty versus Sun, and the Liberty beat the Sun, and their undefeated streak was over, unfortunately, but then we also had the Dream versus Sky. Poor Sun, honestly. The Sun, they had been playing really well, but at the end of the day, you do have to at some point lose. And I think since they did lose, you know, it takes a lot of pressure off of them to just go out there and just have to be like extremely perfect. Yes, they definitely still want to win. But there isn't that like overwhelming feeling of like, oh, we have to win, we have to win, we have to win. So I think that's really great. But also I do want to give a shout out to the Liberty. Y'all know I don't be watching Liberty like that, but I want to give a shout out to Ellie the Elephant. She gets down, and it was her birthday this past week. So happy belated birthday to Ellie the Elephant. She just gives so much energy, and that TikTok page, it's amazing. I really want to know who's underneath that suit, but I'll probably never know. The Liberty were definitely just the more efficient team in this matchup. They shot 51%, and the Sun shot 40%. On the Liberty, Sabrina gave you 24 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. Jonquel Jones gave you 22 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks. Whether you love her or you hate her, you can't deny that Jonquel is a difference maker for this team. And honestly, I do want to sit here and say something about Benijah Laney Hamilton. She is so reliable and was super reliable like throughout the week for this team. It doesn't matter like what anyone else on the court is doing on the team, whether they win or they lose, she always shows up for the team. And I think that is such an underrated like skill set that she has. Like she always goes out there and she plays hard defense. She will contribute offensively, and she kind of just balances really well of like, even if she's not shooting that great, which I think one day she only had points from the free throw line. Or it might have been, yeah, I think she only had points from the free throw line, but she had done a lot of other things really well that game. And again, she's just amazing, and I don't think enough people are talking about her. And honestly, her anticipation on passes is next level. She's just really great, and I love watching her play. So when I do watch the Liberty, it's for her and for Breanna Stewart. It is. For the Connecticut Sun, they had 6 players in double figures. Alyssa Thomas had a triple-double. Full transparency, I didn't watch this game. I didn't feel like it. I really didn't. Plus, I thought the Sun were going to win. So I was like, girl, I don't really need to watch that. So this was kind of shocking. But, you know, they went out there and they both played hard, and at the end of this, all you can ask for. Next game, Dream versus Sky. I didn't watch this game either. I didn't. And this is going to sound bad, but I just didn't care to watch it. I, however, will still report on it. The Dream, Naz Hillman was 4 of 4. Very efficient game. Tina Charles was 22 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals. Cheyenne Parker Tyus, 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Alicia Gray gave you 14 points. Ryan Howard gave you 10 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, 5 steals. Crazy night for her. I need more people talking about Ryan Howard. I don't really ever hear people talking about Ryan Howard, ever really. Like, obviously, if people talk about the Dream, they talk about Ryan Howard. But outside of that conversation, I never really hear anybody talking about her. So there's that. And I wanted to give an honorable mention to someone else on the team, and you won't believe it, but she did play this game like she was built like that. Aerial Powers, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block, shot 5 of 11. I think that's pretty darn good. And y'all know I have a little beef with Aerial Powers, for real. I have a little beef. It's one-sided beef, but like I have a little beef, and that's going to be a running joke for the podcast as well. But honorable mention to her. She came out there and she showed us that she is in fact built like that. But later on this week, she actually proved to us that she's not built like that. But we'll get to that later. Anywho, the Sky, we have Marina Mabrey. She hasn't really been shooting well, like she had at the beginning of the season. But, you know, we have Angel Reese. She gave you 13 points, 13 rebounds, 5 steals. Camila Cardozo gave you 13 points, 5 rebounds. Dana Evans played well that game. She gave you 5 of 8, 5 assists. Kennedy Carter had a quiet night that game, and I don't know. I don't know about that one. I ain't watch it, but I do think that Marina Mabrey, she has to get back in rhythm. She has to contribute a little bit more offensively. I think the other game that they played this week, they really needed her to shoot a little bit better. Yeah, in their game on Wednesday versus the Sun, I think they needed her. They needed her to shoot a little bit better there, but I think eventually, you know, great shooters, they come off the slump. It's going to be okay. Sunday, we had 4 games. We had Mystics versus Liberty, Mercury versus Wings, Storms versus Lynx, and Aces versus Sparks. For Sunday's game, we have Mystics versus Liberty. Another tough loss for them. The Mystics, I mean, of course. The Liberty beat them on the boards, plain and simple. I think this was just... I watched the very end of this game because I didn't watch this game. But I was just really baffled that nobody fouled Sabrina in the backcourt. I thought that was a poor game management decision. I understand, like, and I actually ended up going back and forth with somebody in the comments on TikTok about this because somebody was like, they're trying to trap. I understand what they were trying to do. However, this Mystics team, I don't know if that was like the best decision. Like, I definitely think you foul in that scenario because I think they were like within 1. I think they were within 1 point of them. And I think at that point, you probably just do want to foul them and then try to hit the 3, hope they miss 1, try to hit a 3 and then win the game. But yeah, also Jade Melbourne had 21 points that game. And I think that she was a really great person to shoot the last shot at the end of it to try and win the game. Unfortunately, like the shot just didn't fall, but she'd been playing really well that game. But yeah, I think there were a lot of people who were upset that there was no call on the 10-second violation in the backcourt. But again, the officiating this week was just not that great, so I can't really be surprised. Maisha Hines-Allen, great game that day. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. I think she just played really great that game. I thought she did good. For the Liberty, they turned the ball over 21 times. And honestly, them winning the game despite turning the ball over 21 times is really crazy. But at that, like, I don't think that would have flown with like any other team. But unfortunately, like the Mystics just have like a couple of things they just need to work on still. So I can understand them winning this with those 21 turnovers. Jonquil Jones gave you 29 points, 8 rebounds. Again, love her or hate her, she's gonna do what she needs to do for the team. Sabrina Ionescu, I hope I say that girl's name right. I'd be feeling bad because I've never even pronounced it like that, but other people be pronouncing it different. And I don't know. I'd be calling her S.I. or Sabrina. That's how you get from me. Sabrina gave you 19 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. Good game for her. Honestly, Sabrina's been playing a lot better than she was like the first couple of games. I do think, sometimes you have to knock the cobwebs off. But she's been playing really well. Brianna Stewart gave you 14 points and 7 rebounds. Definitely like less aggressive offensively, but I don't think you have to be super aggressive. You have Jonquel Jones giving you basically 30 points. Again, Benijah Laney Hamilton didn't have like a huge scoring night, but she had 20 rebounds. 20. That's not a typo? That's crazy. She had 20 rebounds, 6 assists, and had the highest plus minus on the team. So again, you don't need her to like always be super offensive. Like she's going to go and do the other things and the small things right and really just get you guys the win at the end of the day. So always going to be a Benijah Laney stan account over here. The next game was Wings versus Mercury, and the Mercury won that game. I really liked that. Yes, I watched this game. I did. What I really liked about this game in particular was that they had like 3 true centers on the floor that day, or not just in the same time, but Kalani Brown, Tierra McCowan, and Brittney Griner, all true centers, not just like forwards playing the 5. So I thought that was really cool and like something that's unique because you don't really see a lot of like actual centers. But they went into double overtime, and I thought that was crazy. And it almost felt like it was planned because the next game, which was Storms versus Lynx, didn't come on until like almost exactly when that game was going to be over, going into double overtime. And it's crazy because they don't even like schedule their games well. So I was like, it's giving script writing. Anyways, but the Mercury, Brittney Griner being back is, as I noted here in my notes, is so big for them, but I don't think it's because the coaching is better. I just really think that it's because Brittney Griner is that good. And because she's able to score and defend in the paint, I think it opens up the game for everybody else. So if you have like, the center or like maybe like a forward trying to double on Brittney, then, it leaves somebody open for a wide open shot or to get to the lane and stuff like that. I just think that Brittney Griner, again, is just a really pivotal like player for this team and definitely stabilizes them. But Griner gave you 24 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists on 11 of 16 shooting. So that's really great. Kahleah Copper gave you 29 points. Diana Taurasi gave you 20 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. The team just did really well that game. And again, we know why. But the Wings, Arike is always money. I think she played really hard. She never sat down. Like, she never got a break. She played like 50 minutes that game. And I think that's really just a testament to her hard work and her work ethic. She gave you 25 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, 4 steals. She had a really great night. Monique Billings was very efficient. She had 10 points and 11 rebounds, but she played well. So, I don't think you can ask for too much more than that. Tierra McCowan fouled out, and I do think that they needed her in the second overtime. Which was really crazy about this game was that, they were able to get it into overtime, and in the first overtime, obviously they scored the same amount of points, but the second overtime, like obviously Arike was tired, but it was like there was just no other, like there was nobody else to give you offense. And that's really what the problem was. There was just nobody else who could hit a shot or who could drive in the lane and give you like a different look, who could give the defense a different look. And it was just like, they went out there and they played hard. Like, I like this team. They're in my top 4. And I just hate that they're struggling the way that they are. I will say JC Sheldon has really been playing well for this team, and I like that. I've been liking her minutes. She had some good steals this game. And like I said, Arike never sat down. And I just really do think that everybody was tired. And you being out 3 of your players that probably could have like taken some of the pressure off Arike to get things done in the double overtime. It's just unfortunate. I hate that. And I really hope that their players are coming back soon, which I've heard that they are, and I really fingers crossed that it is the truth, because they just need other pieces. I really hate that they're going out like that. Dallas Wings, send merch. Anyways, had to make sure I'm still recording. Okay, next game we had the Storm versus Lynx. The Lynx won that game. This game got chirpy, which is what I liked about the team, and that's what I liked about the game, because I like it when, like, they get a little nasty on the floor. I love a little bit of drama, sprinkle a little drama in with my good basketball. But they meant business out there. The Lynx, Kayla McBride, like I said, got hot last week and hasn't cooled off since. She gave you 32 points and was extremely efficient. She put the team on her back, in my mind. Nafisa Collier gave you 19 points, 14 rebounds. Bridget Carlton, I'm a fan of her work. I really like Bridget Carlton. I actually followed her on Instagram the other day, and I was like, yes, I'm a Bridget Carlton fan now. Minnesota, if you want to send me merch, I'll take an Nafisa Collier jersey, or maybe a Bridget Carlton jersey, or really Dorka Juhas. I take a Dorka Juhas jersey immediately. Okay, per. Anyways, back to what we were supposed to be talking about. The Seattle Storm. Jewel Lloyd gave you 25 points. Skylar Diggins-Smith, she didn't shoot as well as she usually does, and I think, eventually she's going to get on that rhythm and that type of time that she was on before she was out for that season, but I think it's going to come in time, and I'm not worried about her play. Like, she plays hard, and even when she's not shooting well, she plays really great defense, so I think that that's good. Nneka had 14 points, 6 rebounds. She always comes in clutch. Like, she's really like a really strong leader for this team, I think. And Ezzy didn't have the game that we're used to seeing, but again, the core four, I think it's going to take a little bit of time. And I think the Minnesota Lynx are a really great team. So I don't think that, like, this loss is like, oh my gosh, we have everything. It's like, it's over. The world is ending. No, the Lynx are just really that good. And the Storm, they're just still working out some things. They're going to be okay. They're going to be great. Next game we had the Aces versus Sparks. I watched like half of this game because I think game 2 of the finals was on, so then I pivoted to watching that instead. But no Jackie Young that game or Chelsea Gray, and I was expecting them to lose, but it was Kate Martin's first start, and I think that she did a really great job. For the Aces, A'ja Wilson balled out like she always does. A'ja Wilson gave you 31 points, 8 rebounds, 6 blocks, 5 assists, and 2 steals. Wow. That's the MVP right there. That's the face of the league right there. Kelsey Plum gave you 24 points, 5 assists. She was really... KP always working hard. She's always working hard, and those two playing well together, again, it's a recipe for success. They just need like a little more. They just need like a little bit more of something. Tiffany Hayes gave you 17 points, so I think that's always great. Kate Martin, for her first start of the season, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. I'm really happy that Kate is fitting in and gelling with this team, and I'm really glad that she's getting minutes. Becky obviously really sees something in her and thinks that she's a really great piece, and I'm happy. Like, she's a steal. She's the biggest steal in the draft in my mind. And she's been playing really great. And honestly, Kate, welcome home. Anyways, the LA Sparks, De'Erica Hamby gave you 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Rakia Jackson, 16 points, 5 rebounds. McDonald gave you 16 points. So they had a pretty good game. Pretty great showing. Again, I was focused on game 2 of the finals, which I should have just watched this game instead, because the Mavericks did nothing but piss me off. Anyways, Monday, one game. We love to see it. Fever versus Sun. The Sun obviously won. It's like they have like personal beef since that first game of the season, which I love. I love that. I love beef. I love mess. Anyways, Fever versus Sun, the starters for the Fever looked bad this game. They did, but I'm not gonna say anything that people don't already know. Like, they didn't look that great, and Christie later on in the press conference went and said that, you can't teach effort, and, she had them sit and went to the bench. I'm just glad that some of the bench players finally got to see the court for longer than 2 minutes. Celeste Taylor, gave you a block. Honestly, when I watched the block, I almost cried. I did. I really did. I did. I only watched the block, though, because I ain't watched this game. And didn't. But you know what? I have my note. I got my stats, though. Lexi Hall playing and getting her 10 points, really great. Aaliyah Boston, 14 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, and she stayed in that game. I think she was one of the only starters that like stayed in the game and played, and I think that's really helpful because she does need to, just kind of get some reps in. And I think like since this game, she's been playing a lot better, and I'm happy for her because people have really been talking about Aaliyah Boston, and like they've been acting crazy. Like people are like, and I get it, some people weren't watching last season, but Aaliyah Boston was Rookie of the Year last year. Like she was named to the All-Star team. Not too much on Miss Girl, because I really just think that sometimes you just struggle at the beginning of the season, like, and like she's human, like sometimes that happens, like, and people do not even give her like an inch to like of grace. Like, calm down, take a deep breath, it's gonna be fine. And she played really well against the Dream yesterday, so honestly, cheers to her. The Sun, basically, it was a cakewalk in there. I'm pretty sure they didn't. I'm not gonna say that anyways, but oh, I was about to say, who is DC? Because I be having the names short. Anyways, Dejanay Carrington gave you 22 points on 7 of 11 field goals. I mean, I don't know what more you want to say. I don't know what more you want to say than that. Alyssa Thomas gave you 7 points, 18 rebounds, 7 assists. Great game. Alyssa Thomas always going to come out there and do exactly what you need her to do. DeWanna Bonner gave you 17 points. I just think that this game, it was a little sad. But you know what? Congrats to those people for getting off the bench. Congrats to them. I'll give you the applause you deserve. Tuesday, we had 3 games. Mystics versus Dream, Lynx versus Aces, Sparks versus Storm. So for the Mystics versus Dream, honestly, congratulations to the Brunch Bunch. Congratulations to the Brunch Bunch for getting this win. You deserved it. Secondly, when I found out that the Mystics finally broke their losing streak to the Atlanta Dream, the only answer that I had in my mind was, of course they did. I'm not at all shocked or surprised by that. I'm not. And this is why me and Atlanta Dream have long-standing beef. And that's why actually we have long-standing beef also, because then the Dream went and lost to the Fever. Have some shame, honestly. Have some shame, because I thought y'all were built like that. What happened to that? Slacking like hell. Anyways, the Dream, they shot 35%. That's not going to do it. That's not going to get the job done. Somebody has, and this is what I wanted to say, somebody has got to help Ryan Howard and Aliyah Gray. Somebody has to help them. Gray didn't have like a crazy shooting night or anything, but that's why you need the role players, why you need the people on the bench. You need other people to step up too sometimes. Like, it's not always going to be, oh, those 2 players play really great all the time. Like, sometimes Steph and Clay they didn't have the greatest nights. Somebody else stepped up to help out. Somebody's got to step up and help. All of the teams that are playing well and look vastly improved compared to last year, they have more than 2 people who they can rely on to help them get the win. I think the Atlanta Dream need to figure out who those other people are outside of Ryan Howard and Aliyah Gray and go from there. You need just like a third person that's going to get in there and buy in. And when you need some energy, when things aren't looking too great for the starters, you need somebody to be able to come in and be like, hey, you come here, get in there and give me some points. That's what you need right now. That's what you need. The only person who helped Howard and Gray was Tina Charles and Aerial Powers. Oh my God. And what's really crazy. That's not. Sorry, I was throwing shade in my notes. Here I wrote, the crazy thing about Aerial Powers is when you realize she shot 3 of 11, but at least she was going to the line, and that's T. That's T. 3 of 11 is crazy, but again, she did more help than anybody else. So what can you say? Honestly, I have no problem with people getting to the line. Like, if your shot isn't falling, girl, yeah, get in the paint and get to that line. That's right. That's right. Do what you got to do to get them points on the board. The minutes this game proved, oh, yeah, because I was talking about I was looking at the lineup for the Atlanta Dream, and, like, everybody played this game for the most part, except for Jordan Canada, who's hurt. But the minutes this game proved that the coach was searching for answers on the bench. And to me, this is just unfortunate. Again, restating what I just said, relying on your two best players to get you the win most of the time, it's going to work. But again, these players are human and will eventually have an off shooting night, and you have to stay ready off the bench to contribute. That is what this Atlanta Dream team needs, in my mind. For the Mystics, great win for them. They are always so close to winning games, and this time they were just finally able to pull one out. Brittney Sykes was back, and they were playing great. They were in there. Brittney Sykes had 18 points. Ariel Atkins had 18 and is always going to be reliable for you. Julie Van Loo, 11 points. And the team as a whole, to me, almost every player scored. Yeah, every single player scored except for one person. And honestly, like I said, congratulations to the Brunch Bunch. Congrats to them. They deserve their 10s on this one. They've worked really hard. Like, they've done a lot of losing this season, and they were finally able to get one. So congrats to you guys. Next, we have Lynx versus Aces. This game was on really late, and I was sleepy, and so the first half of the game watched me. I won't deny it. I won't deny my eyes shut. They did. They weren't strong enough. The first half of the game, like I said, it watched me. The Aces were simply just outshot by the Lynx. I think if I recall correctly, things did get a little bit chirpy during this game, which makes sense because they were probably still hot off that other game they had just finished, but against the Storm, like 2 days before then. But they did get a little chirpy, and y'all know I love a little bit of mess. But the Lynx, all 5 starters were in double figures. Nothing more to say about that. The Aces, they beat them on the boards, but none of that mattered because the Lynx have just been nothing short of extremely efficient. They were moving the ball well and had 34 assists to the Aces 19. They moved the ball really well and shared it really well. And Asia Wilson gave you 28 and 8, so that's really great. Kelsey Plum gave you 13, and Jackie was just struggling a bit coming back off of, like, I guess, being under the weather. But it's just the team just has the same problems as earlier this week. So next we have Sparks versus Storm. The Storm won this game. Full transparency. See, these games were on at the same time, and I did not rewatch this one. I didn't. It's not as fun to rewatch them. It's really not. You got to catch them live, or it's not that cool anymore. Anyways, De'Erica Hamby gave you 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. Leah Rue, 18 points and 7 rebounds. Yeah, I made sure to put that stat in there because this right here, that's T. Because y'all know, like I said before, they had the beef with the commentator talking trash, and people be out, they talking out their neck. Like, let her cook. 18.7 rebounds. Let her cook. Kia Nurse has really been, to me, what I've seen, has been struggling. And that makes me sad because I like watching her play. But I hope that whatever she's going through right now, she's able to get in there and play more. Ari McDonald, 15 points. I don't think you can ask for anything much more than that. The Storm were just the more efficient team. Nika Mule had an assist. She had an assist. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I do wish that Nika was playing more. I'd be kind of sad she doesn't get to play. That's really all I have to say. I was gonna have a whole and this is why I think she should play. I don't really have any reasons. I just would really like to see her play. But yeah, Nika Mule, she had an assist this game, so that's really cool. NECA, 26 points, 8 rebounds, shot 11 of 15 on 73% shooting. She cooked, and honestly, I expect nothing less of her. Ezzy gave you 8 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. What is that girl's name? Jewel Lloyd gave you 21 points and 6 rebounds, I think. Or is it 6 assists, girl? I really don't know. I just be putting 21 and 6, and then I'd be like, I'll remember. I don't remember. Skylar Diggins gave you 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. Really great game for them, honestly. Y'all know I like the Storm, and I think they're really coming into form, but that was a good win for them. Wednesday, we had one game. It was the Sun versus Sky. I didn't watch this one. I didn't. But I did hear that Angel Reese had a double-double. So there's that. Marina Mabrey gave you 10 points, and she facilitated well. Still in that shooting slump, I guess. She was 3 of 13. She was 3 of 13. I hate to say it. Isabel Harrison. Hope I said that girl's name right, because I know she'd be mad. People don't be saying her name right. No shade. Isabel Harrison was 3 of 3. Efficient night. The Sun cooked them as always. Damn, what can you do? You know what I'm saying? Angel Reese was out there though. She was out there trying. Thursday we had 3 games. Thank God this is the final. It's the final day of the week. Jesus Christ. Thursday we had 3 days. We had 3 games. 3 games. Dream versus Fever. I watched like the beginning, the end of the third quarter and the rest of the fourth quarter of this game, and I was flipping back and forth between this one and the Storm game. I think sitting Lexi Hall and then having Ryan Howard drop back-to-back threes on you was a really crazy option. At that point, the team was starting to come back a little bit, and I was kind of like, okay, so you're not going to put Lexi back out there, and that confused me. They were able to get the win regardless of that decision, but for me personally, I think Lexi Hall plays really great defense. So I think I would have kept her out there on the floor. That's just me though. For the Dream, they were really close to coming back, which is why I find this loss tragic. I'm not going to say pitiful like I had in my notes. Tragic is the word I'm going to use. Aerial Powers. Oh, do I have what she did in here? Oh, I don't. I thought I had a stat. Anyways, like I said, I watched the end of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, and watching this game was honestly tragic. My dad was watching too, and he was like, how did they lose? Because they were coming, like they really came back, and like they had the lead like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, okay, they got it. They're going to be able to pull this one out. Incorrect. I was just confused from what I was seeing of the game that I watched. Mind you, I didn't even watch the beginning of it or all of it. But Aliyah Boston was literally just in the paint doing a little spin move and getting easy shots. Nobody wanted to change that up. Nobody wanted to give her a different look defensively than Cheyenne Parker-Tyus. This is why I'm really questionable about the Atlanta Dream. Like, I'm confused as to what we're doing here. Ryan Howard cooked, gave you 26 points. Alicia Gray gave you 12 and 5. Cheyenne Parker-Tyus gave you 18 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Haley Jones even gave you 10 points. And you know what? I'll take it. Because I said she needed to be a little more aggressive on offense. 10 points. She gave you 10 points tonight. I'm happy with it. I'm actually quite happy with it. While they were losing, though, while I was feeling their loss coming on, I did sit there and watch Jordan Canada highlights, because that is going to be their starting point guard, assumably, when she's healthy and ready to play. And while I was watching those highlights, because I wasn't familiar with her game, but she's really good. Like, I wasn't aware. And I think that they really need her badly at this point. I think that they need a reliable third scorer again when Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray maybe aren't able to like finish it, or maybe even Cheyenne Parker-Tyus gave you good points. I think you just needed like to give the defense something else. And I think if you have like 4 threats on the floor, I think that would have made this more competitive. I think they would have been able to get the win on this one. For the Fever, this is ironic, actually. Yeah, because Aliyah Boston was 12 of 21. She had 27 points and 13 rebounds. Kelsey Mitchell had 24 points. Caitlin Clark had 7. But I found these stats to be super ironic because I ended up having a conversation earlier this week on TikTok in one of my videos that I posted from this podcast. And we were having a conversation about how Caitlin should be playing the 2, and when she is on the floor, she shouldn't be playing with Kelsey Mitchell, because they're basically like they have the same game, like they score the same way. I think that Kelsey Mitchell's a little bit faster and obviously has like a little bit more experience, but essentially they play the same brand of basketball. And I think that their offense would thrive off of a little bit more versatility and like somebody who really can run the point. I think not that Caitlin can't run the point, but I think it's not her strong suit. So I would be interested in seeing her just play the two. And I don't mean just like spot up shooting, obviously, but if that's the thing that is kind of gets her going and eventually maybe she can develop into being a point guard, that'd be great. But I will say these past few games, like them not necessarily playing through Caitlin, I think has been interesting for Aliyah Boston. And I think that also it's been helpful for her because it seems that she's playing a lot better when people are giving her passes in the post and she's able to kind of do work. I think that that's important. But yeah, I think this was a really interesting game. Again, we didn't use the bench. We didn't, which isn't shocking. Going to them when you need effort and then not giving them any other time to play is nasty work. No shade, but damn, that's kind of messed up, Christie. Kind of messed up Coach Sides. When you need effort, you go to them, but when you don't want to give them no other chance to play. It's very interesting to me. Anyways, I also think I wanted to note this also. I think a lot of people think that the Fever's success is going to be from them playing through Caitlin. And I honestly disagree with that sentiment just because we've seen Luka Doncic, like, he's an amazing player. He complains a bit. He's super talented, yes, but he didn't get past the Western Conference Finals until recently and until he started passing the ball and allowing the role players to be role players and help him, right? And so I do think that, yeah, Caitlin, like playing through Caitlin was the answer in college. I don't think that's going to be the answer here and not with how this team is currently assembled. Again, I think she's going to be great, but I think all elite players know that you don't win on your own and you can't win on your own. And like I said in my notes, nobody wins alone. And I wish people would stop thinking that the magic answer is to only shoot threes or only play through one player. I get having a star player. This Fever team has two, though. And they have a great player in Kelsey Mitchell, and they have some great talent off the bench. And so we're not working in a scenario where the only talented person is one player. Like, there are multiple players that you can go to and turn to. And I really wish that, like, Coach Sides was, like, leaning into that a little bit more. But I think nobody is ever going to be consistent enough to only play through one player. And every great player proves that. Like, LeBron understands what he needs from his teammates. LeBron knows what to ask of his teammates. Steph he knows that he can't win on his own. Like, Nikola Jokic knows that he can't win on his own. Like, a lot of these other teams with these amazing, like, players who are the star of the team, yes, they are the star, but they know that they're not winning alone. And they have coaches that understand that as well and lean into the other talent on the team. And I think that Coach Sides should definitely lean into the other talent that's on her team, that's on her bench that she doesn't utilize. I think that that's where, like, you would see the Fever making more leaps into winning and becoming more exceptional team. And also because we've discussed, like, them being a more inexperienced younger team. So it is like, why would you not want to give them more experience, help develop them? Food for thought. Just wanted to share that. But anyways, the other game we had was Storm versus Wings. The Storm, Ezzy is doing amazing. She's, like, I think they said that she's tied Lisa Leslie for 9 games with 3 or more blocks. And she did it again, I think. Maybe. I don't really know. My stats saying something different than what the game was saying. Anyways, but she gave you 10 points, 10 rebounds, 4 steals. They said 2 blocks. I don't know if it was, like, secretly 3 or if it was just like, oh, it stopped at the 9 games and today was the last day. But I don't know. I just listen to what the commentators say, but y'all know commentators just be yapping. Anyways, Jordan Horston gave you 10 points. She was 4 or 5. I like Jordan Horston. Honestly, plays really great defense and also contributes offensively. I think if Nika Mule turns into a player like that, I think she will see a lot more minutes. Like, Nika is really great defensively. I think that sometimes she just isn't like offensive minded because at UConn she didn't need to be offensive minded. Like, it was like she can facilitate and distribute the ball well and play really great defense. Yes. But I think if she can kind of develop her game as being a little bit more aggressive offensively, I think she'll see minutes, and I think she's going to be a really great player for years to come. Nneka Ogwumike gave you 17 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, shot 52%. Can't ask for much more than that. For the Wings, they're just not healthy, and I can't even talk about it anymore because it hurts me. It hurts me to see them. It hurts me to see them like this. Arika gave you 24. Tierra McCowan gave you 19 and 10, which is really great. Love that double-double for her. Maddie Segrist gave you 16 points. Monique Billings gave you 10. They just need to be fully healthy. That's what they need. I really hate like seeing them lose like this because I know that they are great. They just don't have all of their pieces yet. Again, like I said before, you have to be able to win with what you have, but they just aren't healthy right now. And I think maybe if they even just get one of them back, they look better than they do right now. But it's going to take some time, and that's okay. Lastly, we have the Aces versus Mercury. Lastly, we have Aces versus Mercury. The Aces won this one, and it was a tight game. And like I said before, it was that damn officiating. Nate Tibbetts was livid all game. That man was screaming on the sidelines. He was calling for replays. That man was hard pressed. I love seeing that man in distress. I'm not gonna lie. It makes me giggle. Anyways, but a lot of the players were upset, and like I said before, like I'm telling you, you could just see the veins in the neck. Like they're screaming at these officials. And I'm not gonna lie, some of the calls were bogus. Like a couple of the calls were bogus calls, and I thought weren't great. But hey, what can you do? Sydney Colson was honestly getting some great minutes this game for the Aces, and I love that because she's the face of the league, you know? And as a face of the league, she needs minutes to play, right? But there was a good block on Kelsey Plum from Rebecca Allen, and that was a really big stop for them at the end of the game. And just the entirety of the game was, especially towards the end, it was tight. It was really tight, and I was like, wow, who's going to win this game? And I'm not going to lie, it was up in the air. But Jackie Young is here, and she was cooking tonight. She scored 21 points in a single quarter last night. She really meant business. 34 points overall, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Asia Wilson gave you 32 and 15. Kelsey Plum gave you 16 points. I'm really happy for this big three, yes, but if they can keep playing like this, I'm even more excited to see them playing with Chelsea Gray because I honestly miss the 4 of them playing together, and I think it's just really gonna open things up on the floor for them, and also people will put some respect on their name. For the Phoenix Mercury, BG was cooking as always, 25 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. Again, just really like a stabilizing piece for this Mercury team. Diana Taurasi gave you 22 points. She was very upset about some of the calls from the officials on some of the fouls. Diana really be pushing people around because she was pushing Kelsey Plum around. I was like, dang, y'all gonna call this? They didn't on some of it, but oof. Anyways, Kalia Copper gave you 18 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. She played really well. Again, this was like a really tight game, but this was a really good week, I think, for basketball. Again, next week I'm gonna be on my 10s, and I'm gonna have watched a lot more of the games than just half of them. But for the lineup this week, I think that there was the Aces in the Mercury game, it may have changed. I don't think so. Maybe the Aces might be at the 6th spot now. I don't really know, but as of right now, the Sun are number 1 as far as these rankings go. The Liberty at 2, the Lynx at 3, then we have the Storm at 4, the Mercury at 5, the Dream at 6, the Aces at 7, the Sky at 8, the Sparks at 9, Wings at 10, Fever at 11, Mystics at 12. This is going to be a really interesting season. I'm honestly excited for the rest of it. This is gonna be interesting. So, anywho, thanks for watching this week, guys. I told you I'm gonna be better next week. I'm gonna be better. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and we'll be back here Friday at noon. Hopefully, I hope this makes it up at noon. I have stuff to do today, so it might not make it up at noon. Fingers crossed. Anyways, but I guess I'll see you guys next week. Like and subscribe, follow, get in the comments, yap, share. It'll be a great time. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.